Hi, I'm Alan Leland, and I'm going to show how to sharpen these skews. I set the bevel gauge at 70 degrees so I can mark a line on here at 70 degrees on both sides. That gives me the 70 degrees I want on my blade. Then I've taken the flat plate and I've adjusted the angle so that I match the bevel on my tool that I know has already got the 25-degree bevel. The easiest way to find out what 25 degrees is you want to take the width of your skew. In this case, it's 1/4 of an inch, and you want to have the length of your bevel 1 3/4 to 2 times the thickness of your steel. So that would make this bevel about 1/2 of an inch long, plus or minus a little bit. Doesn't have to be dead on. And I just go ahead, and what I'm going to do is just, with this grinder, I can't get as close as I want to the wheel. But normally I'd have this almost touching the wheel, about a 1/16 of an inch gap in there. And I would use my finger as a fence and just lay it on here and just try to use that whole grinding wheel and just hold it steady. You don't need to put a lot of pressure on the grinding wheel. You just need enough pressure to hold the tool on there and let the grinding wheel do its work. The harder you push, it's not going to grind any better. If you push harder, it's actually going to clog up your wheel and grind slower. So you don't really need a lot of pressure. And then once I've done one edge, I'll flip it over and do the other side, same way, just grind it. The only reason I put my finger up here is to make sure I keep this blade flat on the flat plate. You can spend money and buy that. If there's a jig in that, the skew jig out of there, you can spend money and buy the one-way skew jig.
Yeah, big bar.
Then I'll need the arm. The problem I've had with this jig, and I need that arm that's back there. The problem that I have with this jig is if your mounting bracket, this bracket right here, isn't perfectly parallel to the wheel, what will happen is your bevel will be trapezoidal.
Oh no, not trapezoidal.
And what I mean is this end will be shorter than this end, so your bevel will be kind of going like that. And that's what I've discovered. And you know, the idea is you go ahead and set it up, and I look on the side. Normally I put my head over here, but the camera would be in the way. Generally, I don't like to put my head where the other wheel is, because that's a bad habit. And then you just match your bevel, and then you would just lay the tool up here, and then you would flip it over like this. This is great. I mean, it works as long as this is perfectly parallel. But Stuart Badger showed me the quick and easy way of using the flat plate to grind the skew, and I figured, man, that's quick and easy. I don't have to waste $60 or whatever that jig costs. So this is easy. I'm just going to grind it straight across the edge. Now, some people ask me how I would do the Allen Lacer style grind, where for the first 1/4 of the width of the blade, this edge is perpendicular, and then it arcs away. From the long point to the toe is still 70 degrees. It's still that same 70 degrees that we have on a regular skew. This one's a little bit harder to grind. And once again, I really don't need to turn the grinder on to show you what we're doing. But yeah, this is my terrible skew. But well, I'm going to do it first. You may want me to turn it on. Make sure everything's locked in. So I'm going to have the blade parallel to the wheel. I've already set the angle. I really don't like being as far away from the wheel. And I'll grind it flat. And now I'm just going to arc it. Put in that arc. I should have trued up the wheel first. You know, gosh, it's not doing such a bad job. And my thumb is there just to keep it flat on the flat plate. And I should have trued up the wheel. I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like this wheel is flat. But I saw there was a little ding in it anyway. But essentially what we're after is a nice arc.
Does the arc matter? How deep the arc is, this way versus shallow arc?
Well, it's going to be automatic. It's going to be going from that point to your short point. And long point to short point, 70 degrees.
I know, but
The grind
Has to be continuous.
flat arc versus a pronounced arc, you know what I mean? You know,
There's only,
There's only one curve you're gonna be able to get.
that's right, only one continuous curve that you'd be able to make.
Continuous curve. It's gonna be automatic about that arc.
Depends upon the diameter of the radius of that curve.
It'll goes in that G.
Well, you're pivoting off of one spot,
Okay.
so it's gonna be automatic.
Put in mind to help me in my wheel.
No, I don't do that. So, that's the two skews I use a lot. This is a homemade tool. This is one of my favorites. 3/8 inch piece of hardened steel that I've ground a skew on. And once again, I grind it the same way. This bevel's a little bit longer because this is 3/8 of an inch thick. And this is a handy tool. This is a tool I use for my dovetail feet on for my chuck. I also use it if you're having a foot that sticks out on a platter or a bowl. I can go in there on either side of it and get a nice scraping where you can't really get with a gouge sometimes. The other end I've ground to a box tool, which is very handy, not part of what this demo is, but the side of this guy is ground back at about 5 degrees, and then the tip is ground similar to the rounded skew where for about 1/8 of an inch, it's perpendicular and then it arcs away. The only part of this tool that ever does the cutting is that corner right there. This is great for going down inside a box. And once again, I have a right-handed and left-handed one, and it works really good when you're doing that outie foot on a platter or a bowl. It's a very handy tool. This one takes about 45 minutes or so to make. And so I have two tools in one. This goes with me everywhere. And then another one is this skew that's on the end of a point tool. This is something Frank and I came up with years ago. One side we have, oh God, it's dirty. One side we have our three facet point tool. Frank has an article on how to use a 3-point tool, and I wrote an article on how to make a 3-point tool, and then we both realized there's only one point and there's 3 facets. We need to change our title. But about half the people I talk to, they ask me about the 3-point tool.
Yep.
And it's only got 1 point, 3 facets. So one end's got that, and on the other end, same idea. We just grind a skew on it. And what I'll do is I'll roll a platter or a bowl. I'll use the point tool to roll the bead from the inside to the outside. And then I'll go in with the skew and just do a nice cleanup cut. And it's wonderful. I mean, it really makes that bead pop. Makes your work look really nice. And
That tool, by the way, had the prominent name from the lady in New York. Remember, she called it a shiv. That's probably the most appropriate. No word to really appreciate that.
And I thought I'd brought my scoogee with me. I mean, I don't think I brought it over here. So could you turn the camera off a second?
Yeah, I think I saw it.
Yeah.
But you told us, you do spindle master?
Yeah, spindle master. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we got it.
This